each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R.K. Pachauri. Today, we have the great pleasure of speaking with Kasike Kalaan, an Indigenous leader from Jamaica, who joins us here to share his leadership on the ground, his wisdom, and his knowledge, especially in terms of strategies to protect our planet. And I just want to convey a very warm welcome once again, Kasike. We're deeply honored, and I know that you will leave us all profoundly inspired as we feel already. So thank you very, very much, and a warm welcome to the Bob family. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for that wonderful introduction. I couldn't agree more that we're very excited for this conversation today. I think it will be very insightful and we will all learn a lot. So now I will go ahead and introduce our speaker for the day. Socially, Robert Kalaan Perman is first and foremost a Vejique, Taino medicine man, and was chosen and appointed Kasike, Taino chief, for the Yamaye Guani, Jamaican hummingbird Taino people. He now walks with the Taino name Nibonrix Kaiman. Cacique Nibonrix Kaiman is member of Consejo de Medicina Ancestral Indígena de Lava Abya Yala, Council of Ancestral Indigenous Medicine of the Americas, the main organizer for Caribbean Region Peace and Dignity Journeys, which is an intertribal spiritual run connected to ancient prophecies of the Americas, member of Responsables Espirituales Originarios del Guirapoy, Kuntur, Quetzal, Águila, and Guaraguao, with responsibility for maintaining local ceremonies in the Caribbean, and sits on YCOIL, Jamaica Council for Indigenous Leaders. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and I will hand it back over to Dr. Ash, who will be asking our first question.
Thank you so much, Anna, and once again, a warm welcome to Kasike and to all those who join us here. And Kasike, you have a very important voice and a lot of experience and wisdom you share with the world, and we're very blessed and grateful for it. You're also a great inspirational leader to not just the youth of the world, to many, and I truly feel grateful for that. What we'd love to start by asking you to share with us, if you would agree, please, is, what in your experience and in your perspective is leadership, especially in the realm of, leadership from the indigenous perspective and your own experience. Thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Good morning, my relatives. And leadership for us is really connected to our ancestral stories. It is about understanding the desires of your community, understanding how best you can elevate your people. And with that in mind, it is to think ahead for 7 generations. It is not just about the present and the current issues. So you have to constantly be thinking about, where will this path lead our people? Where will this decision lead our people? This tree, cutting down this tree, where will this lead our people in times to come? It's not just thinking about the present. Majority of our leaders made sacrifices so that we could benefit now. There's a saying that they planted trees they would never sit under. And those are the principles that we try to push forward in this day, right? With what is happening as it relates to climate change, we need more leaders like that are thinking about what will the world be like post 2030, in 2040. What is it that you are leaving for the next generation? And from that plan, it is to take the steps necessary to help and guide them so that when we are no longer in the physical, they have a roadmap, they have a vision, they have a goal that they're working towards that can help them to realize this, help them to understand that they are being guided, that they're being nurtured, and that they were thought of even before they were born.
That is absolutely beautiful and so true and profound too. I know that it is a very powerful and simple principle, but unfortunately, we are so far departed from it that it sounds like it's a profound statement. But I think going back to the basics of understanding what communities need, like you said, and very importantly, thinking about the generations that are yet to come that may not even be here with us right this moment in time. And I think that that's the true sense of community, and that's the true sense of nurturing each other as members of a cohort, as a community. And I think that your point is absolutely crucial, and I hope all action led by everyone. And I think, not just young people, but we need it at every level to very closely embrace these values, because when we start to do this, we'll think about everything and the ramifications of all our actions. And so I just want to say thank you, Kasike, for sharing that. I think it's a simple and powerful thing for us to keep close to our hearts, and I know we've departed from it, so it's an important message, and thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you.
I'd add to that briefly, Brother Ash, that
yes,
as simple as it sounds, you're correct that there's a lot of drift from it. So here's an example. When it comes to working with indigenous communities, right, there is this concept that perpetuates I have to say what it is, the colonized Western approach to assume what it is that the communities desire. Because some of the issues that our world are facing today is because someone believed that these communities wanted different types of housing. Someone believed that these communities wanted different types of industry and wanted to be a part of a system that was not their own, that was not their norm. And it has created now a return to these ancestral ways that is not just for these communities, for the whole globe. There was a system that was put on the indigenous people that were protecting these lands from time immemorial. So again, it is, the basics of it is to understand as the leader what it is that your people desire, and to use the skill sets that you've acquired either through experiences, education, mentorship, to assist them to achieve those goals and to show them how much better their community could be, not just in the present, but down the line, is to have that foresight. So all of that, as simple as it is very important. And we're seeing the effect of what the world is like without that type of leadership being present.
Absolutely. And, we've seen this over and over, be it global government programs or donor approaches, some so-called quote unquote progress is thrust on communities, not with no recognition or acknowledgement of what the local realities are, and or very importantly, what the needs and demands and requirements are of communities, and that could well be preserving tradition rather than what their concept of progress is something that we've never stopped to ask. And so we talk about SDGs and we talk about progress, but what does that mean? Like Gandhi said, right, progress is irrelevant if it's in the wrong direction. So if you're moving in the wrong direction. So I totally agree with you, and thank you for reminding us. This is a very, very important value and principle that we need to embrace, and most importantly, to, like you said, listen to voices. So that is so important in everything we do. And thank you for your love and light, and for showing us the way. Thank you, our brother Kasike. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kasike. That was an amazing answer. I think we've done a series of leadership conversations throughout the year, and I think it's the first time that the first definition of leadership talks about what the community needs and being the voice of a bigger cause. So thank you for that very inspiring answer. Now I would like to hand it over to Nahid, who will be asking the next question.
Thank you so much, Anna. Well, if you let us, we would like to know a little bit more about your background and your work defending indigenous communities and territories. So what are the main threats that your community faces, and what projects have you been involved with in order to fix these challenges?
All right. So many things have been happening as it relates to the indigenous people. And as it relates to the indigenous people of the Caribbean, most northern natives would speak the story of since 1492. But the reality is, in 1492, Columbus came to the Caribbean. So we are the ones that have been long affected by this push for, this concept of wealth and of industry. And we have lost a lot. A lot of the work has been to recover what we have lost. It has been educating our youth on our values, our norms, our systems. It is having them reconnect to our ancestral ways and our cultures. So as a result of that, there is what's called the Peace and Dignity Journeys. I'm the Caribbean region organizer, but outside of that, it is a larger activity that connects tribal people. And it is through these connections that we're able to learn what are the issues that we are facing as individual communities, and we can create a voice that can echo to support us on an international level at the United Nations and at all of these other gatherings so that we can be heard. In 1992, when the United States and some other places wanted to celebrate 500 years since discovery, that is when the Peace and Dignity Journeys actually came to be. What took place was that a gathering was done in Quito, Ecuador, of indigenous people throughout the Americas. And by sitting around the fireplace and sharing stories, there's a realization that we all had similar stories, similar prophecies that spoke towards a point in time when indigenous people would come together, and there would be that shining light to help the world to realign. And the symbolism of this is considered the meeting of the eagle and the condor, the eagle representing the people of the north and the condor representing the people of the south. And it is said that when they fly together again, the eagle representing the mind, representing technology, condor representing medicine, representing cleansing, representing culture, music, and harmony, when they work together, then we would find that balance and that direction. So through participating in that and organizing that, that activity takes place every 4 years, where there's literally a runner that starts in Alaska and one that starts in Argentina. And we run through the continent, being hosted by different indigenous groups, and we meet somewhere in the center. The last physical run was in 2016, and we met in Panama. And we learned the stories of our relatives. There are communities in Mexico that we went to, that the indigenous people, their lands were being used for dumping toxic waste, and we're able to speak towards that on a bigger level and to share with indigenous relatives of the north and of the south that this is happening, this is taking place, our relatives need support. There are ancestral trade routes, because though when we look on the map today, there are all these invisible lines that are drawn. All of the continent, they're considered Abya Yala, and it was interconnected. And what we're trying to do is to reconnect all of our peoples. Now, this is not just for indigenous people alone, because the prophecy spoke to us the fact that the people who have been guardians, who have been living in these spaces that understand how to take care of them, are best suited to share that information and to allow others to participate in cultivating the best future for us all, right? So that is one level. The education, the reconnecting to our culture. The next level of it is obviously there has been the establishment of the Escazú Commission, and what that speaks towards is really defending environmental protectors. And our community has a representative that, Alexa Winter. We congratulate the work that she's done. She had submitted a project and it has been approved. So we'll be creating the Yame Escazú Commission that will be the mediator between us and our local government here on the island, so that anything that will be done as it relates to our sites, our communities, our forests, there has to be free and prior consent. There will have to be discussion with the community first, not after, because the tendency has been that when it comes to especially extractivist industries, for them to know or decide that they want a license, they would have to get licensed to examine the space to find out if there's anything there to mine to begin with. And from those preliminary stages, the community needs to be involved. Not afterwards, not after deciding that, all right, there's probably oil there or gold or whatever, and we want these things and we're applying for the license. Then you explain to the community how this funding for a limited time, because we know that this is limited, can benefit the community. No, from the beginning, it is to inform. So we've been educating our community individuals as well. And we've been working, it's something that I had said with Brother Ivan at another opportunity. Education is key. Most Indigenous people will be on the front line because we've been grown to defend our territories, but a lot of the defense is taking place with paper and pen and not bow and arrow today. So we need to educate them and empower them. So this leadership is really going to the background and supporting and pushing those who have that desire, that interest, that knowledge, and that push at the forefront and say, no, it is your turn to speak. It is not being in the limelight, but it's to support those. So I am very honored that that question was asked at this forum with all of you youth present, because you are the ones who we need to be supporting to step up and to speak. I hear that in Mexico now, that the climate, it is colder. How is that going to affect crops? How is that going to affect the individuals with low income that cannot support themselves? What is the impact that is going to have on culture, right? So all of these things are necessary. There is a bigger picture to what is taking place. There's a lot of trauma that has happened to people of color throughout the region. And our work has to be twofold. Again, that eagle and the condor are coming together. We have to work from that intellectual space, and we have to connect that spiritual and cultural space, right? So that we're empowered to do the work that we need to do.
Thank you so much for that response, because I think we could get more questions out of this. But I know we have more questions planned. So Anna,
Thank you, Nahid, for that amazing question, and thank you, Kasike, for this amazing answer. I think this is what you were speaking about with the eagle and the condor, and the importance between the connection of both sides is so important. And I really appreciate everything that you're teaching us today as you speak. Now, as I mentioned, Alejandra was going to join us, but unfortunately she was unavailable in the end. But we have Ivan here who will be asking the next question. So thank you so much, Ivan, for stepping up, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. And Brother Kasike, it's really amazing to be here with you again in this room. It's really inspiring, everything that you're doing, and your story is one of, like the story of your people is one of, like, struggle, is one of searching for this kind of freedom, and what you are doing and what you have achieved is really inspiring, and well, I'm really honored to be here. So the question is, how can young indigenous people from Latin America and the Caribbean be inspired and encouraged to become leaders and to speak up to defend their rights, territories, and resources?
All right, again, a beautiful one. Thanks to the advancements that we have in technology, for those who have access to it, There are mechanisms like the Tribal Link and other forums where education is free on how to utilize mechanisms such as United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. There are other areas that, again, that's why I keep pushing knowledge, right? To connect with the larger network of individuals, because there are organizations that are established to educate, to train the youth, to be those caretakers in these spaces. Because if we want to create change, right, we have to educate and elevate those who are living in those situations. We need to know what is taking place. I was a part of a meeting last night, just sitting in briefly, that was taking place on the International Indian Treaty Council, and they were giving the reports from COP26. The focus of that group was really as it relates to indigenous food sovereignty, right? And these forums are open to all indigenous people. So it is really those who are called, those who are listening now, is to look out, pay attention, connect with these organizations, connect with these indigenous NGOs, and trust me, there is work there. There is more work than you can imagine that requires young, ample minds and hands and feet on the ground. We need to know the issues you are facing so we can help you to solve them. It is not that we're going to come in like heroes and fix all of the problems, but you are the ones that are the guardians and caretakers of these spaces. And we are here to empower you to elevate your voice so that the work can get done. We want all of the youth to be mindful, indigenous youth in the Caribbean, that it is okay to acknowledge that there were setbacks for people. All right? Acknowledge that there was trauma. Do not compare yourself or your communities to other societies that were built on the backs of our ancestors due to slavery. Acknowledge where we are and give thanks to the sacrifices that our ancestors have put in place for us to be there. And it is from that point of clarity you will be able to propel yourself to honor that spirit within you, because it is within all of us. All of us are leaders. Our systems, we're not all hierarchical as it is in communities today. Everyone were gifted with visions and gifted with insight and was able to work with plants and create medicine. There was not necessarily one space that everyone would have to go to for these things. So the calling that you have, the support is there. Real support, grants are available for you to document what is taking place in your communities, to develop a case, training courses like the Escatu Commission, which is one of the first large documents specific for Latin America and the Caribbean. So learn about that, read about that, the Escatu Commission that is there to protect and defend you, the indigenous people of the Caribbean, that has been ratified in some of our nations already. So it is to make that step and to ask for support and to look to those who are doing the work. And please, please, open yourselves, be vulnerable to ask for help in these scenarios. A lot of the work that we've been able to do is because we have seen those that are of like mind and like spirit, and we were humble enough to ask and to show that these are the issues we are having. These are the things that we desire assistance with, and this is where we would like to be. And if those interests align, we will receive the support. A lot of the hindrance for young leaders today comes from the concept of self-worth and self-value. And I want you to know this, speaking to everyone listening today, that sacrifices were made for you to be where you are today, right? And you have that support, you have that medicine within you to get this done. Hopes are in you, and you're supported to get the job done, to pass the baton on. So never feel like you're nothing. And thank you for the opportunity to share that with our youth.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kasike, for that amazing answer. I think it's so important what you're saying, that what we need to know what these people are facing in order to help the communities we want to interact in, right? We can't remove context out of any solution we want to implement. So I really thank you for bringing that up, and I congratulate you for your amazing work and everything you're sharing with us and teaching us today. Now I would like to hand it over to Ana Carrillo, who will be asking the next question.
Thank you so much, Hannah. So my question is, what is the importance of indigenous knowledge, and how can indigenous knowledge create nature-based solutions to the climate crisis?
All right, beautiful. Indigenous knowledge. Now, the common thread in all of my responses today is the fact that indigenous people have been caretakers of these spaces since pre-Columbian times, since time immemorial. They understand when something is wrong, and they have an understanding of how to right these wrongs. So the example that I gave is when there's a shift in climate, it will affect our crops. And then what that means is that there needs to be now a shift in what crops are planted, when they're planted, and where they're planted. And those who hold this knowledge really need to be honored. There's too many stories of academia going into indigenous communities and learning of their knowledge, and the papers are written from the perspective of, you know, them being saviors, which is not according to indigenous concepts of leadership. And them being saviors, no more attention is paid to these elders and these wisdom keepers. And down the line, not much value is held or given to them. You know, these universities, these institutions really should be honoring, even if it's an honorary degree or master, elevate them and understand that these are teachers, these are professors, these are the individuals from the ancestral spaces that study the universe, the traditional universities. And the knowledge that they hold is what is important for this point in time. There are plants and medicines for the issues that we're having right now that common society is not aware of. There are skill sets that are being lost as we speak because the value and the inherent knowledge that these wisdom keepers hold is not being paid attention to. And on another level, as what took place recently with COP26, there are not always the opportunities to hear these voices. A lot of times I'll hear, you know, how can you support indigenous communities? Is there may be doors that you have open to you, is to allow them into these spaces to speak and to share. The wisdom keepers that carry these oral traditions that you may meet, if it's possible, invite them to university so they can speak with the young ones and they can share the knowledge that they have of how things used to be and hear their thoughts on how we can return to those old ways. It may be some simple things. It may be required that we may plant specific trees in specific places. There are plants that remove toxins from the air. There are plants that remove toxins from the waters. There are plants that attract animals that will get rid of pests and rodents. All of these things are the ways that our ancestors have been living for centuries. Science is now showing that the Amazon jungle, that mankind contributed to the creation and development and the growth of the Amazon jungle, because we were a part of that ecosystem, and what we consumed and released in that space allowed for the fertilization of other trees and for it to grow wherever the people went. So in the truest form, just as we are the ones now, like, away from those traditional knowledge that is creating these issues, it was when we were in alignment that we were creating this Garden of Eden throughout the globe. So it is very important for us to return to those ways. And I'm not saying that in doing so, we're going to cut out the use of technology. As I said before, the eagle and the condor have to come together, right? The developments that our youth are working on and that industries need to be making positive impacts and need to be inspired by ancestral ways of creating harmony and balance. So there may be technology that can assist in preparing the soil, and that can assist in isolating and identifying the specific medicines that can help to clean our waters. That is where this harmony can come from. So the nature-based solution means that it is at the core, mimicking, as human society has done forever, what we see in nature, and understanding that it in itself is perfect.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I feel that it's really important having those spaces where we can listen to you, because there are so many things that we don't know. And especially for youth, it's really important to learn from you and for you to teach us. So it's I feel like it's like a teamwork. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kasike, for that wonderful answer. Really, everything that you've been sharing with us has been so amazing. And what you mentioned about the spaces needed to share this knowledge, right? And having somewhere where the wisdom keepers can really spread the knowledge that they have, I think is very important, and will connect with this next question and final question that I would like to ask you, which is regarding your insights on Indigenous representation at COP, and what is the importance of including Indigenous rights and demands at international climate agreements?
All right. I know that I was a part of a joint statement, but there were several joint statements that were done by Indigenous communities that were presented. And the common thread, the common theme was that the Indigenous people understand, we have in our midst that shows that our concept of how the world was created is connected to maintaining harmony and balance. There are constellations. I know that if I was knocked out and awoke from a state, I would be able to tell what cycle, what season we're in, because we studied the stars. Orion is back in the Caribbean, so we know that we should be heading into the dry season, right? All of these things are integral and important information that need to be shared with the world at large. So yes, COP26, there was not a lot of actionable things that were done from the perspective of Indigenous communities. And what is being done is that we're looking into other forums to share, looking into other opportunities to negotiate and have, conversations that can allow our wisdom speakers, wisdom teachers, these people that hold these ancestral knowledges, to be able to share insights into where we are and where we're coming from. I've had the privilege of dialoguing with Indigenous communities from the Tawantin-Suyo region, which are the descendants of the Inca people, who they have their stories and track records from pre-Columbian times that can speak towards, the corn that is eaten in Mexico, the migratory pattern and how that was cultivated and created naturally without being in tubes. Sweet potato, batata, yuca, cassava. There's so many things that the world has not been able to tap into fully because the nature-based solutions was not at the core. Can you imagine a world where our vehicles are run on crops that are cultivated from the land? And that's not impossible, right? We have the knowledge systems, and it is when the two come together and understand that this should not be about profit. It should be about sustainability. Every time that I talk about the 2030 goals, I feel a heaviness on my heart because I'm living in a world where a goal within the next 9 years is for there to be life above land. A goal is for there to be life in the waters. A goal. These things should not be goals. These things should be, and our goal should be, obviously, reducing the extractivist industries that take place. And all of these things that I'm saying are basically repeating what would be said if and when our Indigenous people have an opportunity not only to speak on the climate change forum, but as it relates to business, as it relates to investment, as it relates to food sovereignty, as it relates to all of these are tied to the rights of Indigenous people. So for us, they're all interconnected. Once we have an opportunity to share and our voices acknowledged, we can help to be that backbone of push towards reestablishing the balance that we once had with the environment. So any way that you can support, anywhere that you hear someone that is speaking something of value from an Indigenous background, it's clearly to assist in getting those resources available. I've met young ones that they would take notes and then they would go to the web cafe and they would share on these forums because the elders are not able to, right? So again, it's that unity that is required. That is how we can get things moving forward. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I completely agree. I think it's so important, everything that you're telling us, and it's really enlightening for us to hear all your wisdom and everything you've done to protect your communities, your territories, and your resources. And I truly believe there are so many solutions that need to include the voice of the Indigenous peoples in order to consider the protection of the planet. And we really need to spread the word of the importance of this. So I really thank you for that amazing answer and for being here with us today. And I would like to hand it over to Dr. Ash to see if he has any additional conclusions he would like to add.
Well, I don't think there's much I can add. I can only say that, we're very deeply moved by everything that you've shared, and you're deep and profound and very meaningful in everything that you've talked to us about. And your guiding light is crucial. And I just want to say that to us, you're a very precious member of the Pop family, and I just want to say that we stand strong with you and all our brothers and sisters, our elders, our family that's yet to be. And I just want to say I agree with you so much about everything, but I at this point want to just underscore a couple of things. One is I do really strongly believe there's many different dimensions that embrace our world, and like you said, the integration, the voices, the action, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the pursuit led by the Indigenous communities across every field is so crucial. I mean, every element links with every other element, and it's impossible, hard if not impossible, to look at any one element and assume that we won't be affecting every other dimension. And I think that you've shared that message is crucial, and also the fact that you rightly spoke that we sadly are at a point where we very deliberately are having to make decisions about our sustainable future, when this should be something that is natural to our being. Because if we really were to get in touch with the real inner being, this is not something that we consciously or deliberately make decisions to do. And finally, I think you shared another really crucial point in addition to countless others, that in our world, we found people walking into spaces and places expecting to wave a magic wand and implement solutions that they at least are presumed solutions, without any integration, respect, or participation from the communities we're working with. And how can you possibly come up with, leave alone come up with a solution, even identify an issue? without beginning to hear the voices. And we are nobody to give voice to anybody. People have voices, and you rightly pointed out that it's about amplifying them. And I just want to say you've left us with a lot. And I just want to convey my deepest gratitude and say how blessed and grateful we are that you're our precious brother and member of our family, but that we truly with our hearts embrace all of our brothers and sisters, and want this, I hope, will be one among many, 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 not only conversations but initiatives that we lead together as a global family. And I can't imagine how else we're ever going to be able to do this. And I just want to say you exemplify that. And thank you so much, my brother Kasike, for your for your knowledge, for your wisdom, for your love and your light. We need to keep it turned on at all times. So thank you so much. Thank you for being our precious leader, and thank you for being a precious member of our family. And this, no doubt, none of this works one-off, so we are really looking forward to continuing all that we'll be able to do together. And just want to say we unite in mind, heart, and soul in doing it. Thank you. And
thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I also want to say thank you to Anna for helping us lead this conversation, to each one of you for being here, for presenting what I know our brother Kasike has found as deep questions. And I know we need many, many hours, days, weeks, months, years, and lifetimes to really keep all that there is integrated in our lives. But this is a starting point, and I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, and to everyone who's here with us. And thank you, brother Kasike, hermano Ivan, and the whole family.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for those kind words. On the contrary, I thank you for this amazing opportunity to have the chance to speak to such amazing leaders from all over the world, and to listen to their teachings and to learn from them in this series of conversations that have been very, very insightful. And I'm sure that everyone who watches us either live or online in the live stream is very thankful to you for giving us this amazing space. And thank you also, Ivan, Anna, Nahid, Philo, for being here with us. And finally, thank you, Kasike, for your amazing wisdom and sharing it with us. I would like to hand it over to you if you would like to add any final conclusions.
Home, thank you all for being present and for sharing. And I mean, the core of the message that I'd like to share is that you as youth, the symbolism, the secret in that unity of the ego and the condor is to understand how to lead from your head and your heart, right? To have the two in alignment. Yeah. Once you can do that, you'll work wonders in this world, because you have to find a way to support your passions and understand that whatever it is that you're being called towards at this moment right now, there are people who have set that path for you. Find them, work with them, assist, so they can assist you in getting your passion created and completed, right? You are the precious future. Everything that is being done is for you and the generations to come. So you have an active part and an active role in all that is taking place. That's the only way we can protect our planet. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And if all of you would agree, we'd love to get a picture together, please. Philo, if you are able to, I don't know if you have, wonderful. Great.
Okay, Ready? I can take it. So,
Thank
and
you.
we will share it, Kasike, with you as well. Ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
You Kasike.
This was
Thank you very
amazing.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Full
Take
day.
care.
Stay blessed. Thank you. God bless you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.